Hello, my dear students. How are you all? I hope so. You all are doing good. Myself, Sunil Pawar, welcomes you back for the new session of 11th class biology subject. Okay, as you know that we are continuing the first unit. Okay, and in this one we already finished the 3 chapter. Right. Now we are going to start the 4th chapter, that is the animal kingdom. Okay, because of the vastness of this one thing, as a time limitation, we divided into 2 parts. So first we are going to conclude the first part of animal kingdom, right? As you know that if we are talking, whenever we are talking about the animals, clear, then few facts immediately comes in our mind. That what are the animals? Animal is actually a group of eukaryotic multicellular complex organism, okay, which is basically heterotrophic holozoic in nature. This is the basic feature, okay, with 3 basic facts: eukaryotic, multicellular, okay, complex, as well they are having which nature in their nutritional mode of nutrition, that is the heterozoic mode of nutrition, okay, and in this heterozoic mode of nutrition also they are holozoic in nature, okay. So with the help of this one thing, the animal kingdom includes all the eukaryotic and multicellular organism which have heterotrophic mode of nutrition, and so far approximately 12 lakh of animal species have been reported from all over the world. So such a vast collection, such a great varieties, a large degree of adaptation is observed in the nature, okay. Now, so first of all we are going to discuss about the habit, okay. So now habit, so on the basis of their feeding habit, these animals can be grouped into these different categories, just like that the herbivorous, okay. You all are well aware about the herbivorous nature of the animals, those animals who feed upon the green vegetables, herbs, vegetation, so they are called as herbivorous. And in the ecosystem or food chain, we place them in the first category, that is the consumer. Which consumer? First consumer, and we call them the herbivorous. Examples are well known, okay, cattle, all cattle and this one, clear. Then the second category, there is the carnivorous, we can also call them the secondary consumers, okay. So what are this one thing? This category of the animals is obtain their food from the other animals, okay. In short, we can call them, they are predators. We can call them the flesh eating, okay. So they feed upon the flesh of the animals, herbivores especially, clear. So this lion and tigers are very well known example right now. The third category, there is the omnivorous. Omni means both, okay. The category of the animals in which they depends for their nutritional requirement or demand on both of these two, vegetation as well as animal flesh, clear, or the animal product, then we call them the omnivores, clear. Just like that, the mane, the bear and the pig, these all are kept in this category, clear. Now even the crow and this one also. The next category, there is a sangivorous, okay. Simply sangivorous means what? The blood sucking animals, clear. You know that the blood sucking means what? The category of the animals who feed upon the blood of the others, especially the mammals or the highest category of the animals, clear. So these sangivorous are actually blood sucking in nature. You are quite aware of this. Leech is not only depends on the human being, but it also depends on the cattle and this one thing. Ultimately they feed upon which one thing? That is the mammals, okay. The bat bugs and the vampire bats also. Vampire bat, you know that it is such a rarer variety of the bats which observe in the African forest, okay. Now then next category is the parasites, okay. What are the parasites? Those animals which is parasitic in habit, they obtain their food in the readily available form from the living host. Remember, living host, okay, and this food is obtained in the readily available form, okay. So on the basis of their nature, we can categorize them into 2 categories. One, that is the internal parasite and second is the external parasite. Okay, what is the difference between the internal and external parasite? Internal parasite is such parasites who found where inside the body of the host, okay, for sustaining their life or obtaining their food material, clear. While this external parasite is present where outside the body of the host and obtain their food from the this host directly, clear. So this is the categorization on the basis of their position or location, clear. But one more categorization, that is the partial parasite or temporary parasite and complete parasite, clear, or holoparasite, clear. Holoparasite means what? Those category, those organism who kept in this category as a holoparasite or as a permanent parasite, they are not only comes to obtain the food, but they complete their whole life cycle on the or in the body of the host, clear. While this temporary is just to, they just come to the host body only to obtain their food. They are not depend totally for their different life processes, right? So remember this one thing now. Then later we come to the next one thing. One more category is there, that is the primary parasite and the secondary parasite, clear. Primary and secondary is depends on the nature of the host, clear. Now then the saprozoic, okay, the category who obtain their food from the dead organic matter by absorption. Likewise the house fly and the next one good example, that is spider, okay. They are not responsible for decaying the organic matter, but the organic matter which is decayed or which is spoiling, okay. So from this simplest material they directly obtained by absorption, right. Then coprozoic in nature. So this is the category of the animals who obtain their food from the fecal material of the other animals, okay. The good example is the which one thing, that is the pig, the beetles, okay. So these animals feed upon the cow dung as well as the human fecal material and this one thing, clear. Now the next one, that is the habitat, clear. What is the habitat? Habitat is a dual place which provide a better facility for the survival, for their for obtaining their different requirement, just like that the shelter, the protection, clear, the food as well as a proper availability of the reproductive partner also. Not only this one thing, simply we can say that the place who provide all the better facility for their flourishing, okay, or for their multiplication, clear. So here on the basis of the availability medium, we can categorize them into the aquatic habitat. Aquatic habitat means what? The place where animal use water as their medium, clear. Then this aquatic is further divided into freshwater, okay, just like that the lake, pond and river freshwater may be further divided into the stagnant water and the running water, clear. Then next one, the freshwater, that is the marine water. Marine water means what? The salty water which is present in the sea or the oceans, okay. Then the third one, that is the estuaries, okay. Estuaries are what? Estuaries is actually the place where the wide rivers get mixed with the ocean, okay. So in on this place specially the nature of the water is quite different, clear. Difference means what? It is not too salty, not too sweet in nature, okay. So to sustain the life in this kind of medium, these animals need to adopt themselves morphologically, physiologically, okay. So that's why this is the estuarian, okay. And all this three medium is required such a great variety of adaptation, okay. Now then after the aquatic, terrestrial, that means those animals who use this land as a medium of their movement or the locomotion, that is called as terrestrial, okay. In this one, that is the first category is the running, or we call it the cursorial, okay. Those who use this land as a for the galloping or fast running, that is this one, okay. Then the fossorial, who use to make a burrow or the hole in the ground surface, okay. Just like this mongoose, okay, rat, rabbit, this all are considered the fossorial, okay. And the arboreal, Arboreal means what? They are not flying in nature, but they use, basically they live where on the land, but they use this air for their mode of locomotion, clear. Now they can use the tree and this one thing, clear. And the voluntary nature, those who use flight for the flying, just like that, the flying fox, okay, and some snake which when they jump from one tree to the next tree, so just by making their body flat and extended in nature, they can stay in the air for a long period of time, clear. Then finally the desert one, you can also call them the xeric animals, clear. The animals who lived in the zero availability of the water, they have such a great variety of adaptation to survive in this one thing, okay. Then the amphibian, as you know that amphi means both, that means the category of the animals who use both these two medium, water and land, to survive. It is not optional, it is a compulsion. They need both this medium for their survival, okay. Just some of them basically they use the water as the medium, but just for the reproduction and for the laying eggs and its further incubation, they compulsorily need to comes out from the water, okay. So this is the amphibian. Frog, and these are the good example of this one thing, clear. The aerial who use this medium air as a medium of their locomotion, and for this one thing they are highly adapted for the flight, okay. Now, so now here we are going to discuss some basis of classification, clear. So when we are talking about this basis of classification, then they basically based on the grounds of the arrangement of the cells, body symmetry, okay, nature of coelom, the pattern of the digestive system, circulatory system and the reproductive system, clear. So these all are the points on which we can categorize them on the nature of this one thing, clear. So first of all, on the basis of the type of the digestive system, okay. So in this one thing we can categorize them into the one with a complete digestive system and second with the incomplete digestive system. The complete digestive system means what? The category of the animals which is having a complete digestive tract with the two aperture, one with the mouth and second is the anus, clear. So through this one thing, from one aperture they intake the food and from the second aperture they excrete out the undigested food material. So this is the first category, they are most developed, and with the incomplete one, just like this one, no? This you can see that this one hydra and all the coelomates, the coelentrates in nature, they are having only one aperture from where the food enter, it get digested and all the thing, and then later on it will just release out from the same one. So this is the categorization on the basis of their digestive system. Now based on the type of circulatory system, okay, on the basis of the complexity of the circulatory system, they are categorized into two categories, one with the open circulatory system and second with the closed circulatory system, okay. What is the open circulatory system? You are quite aware about the structure and the circulatory system of the cockroach, the member who belong to the phylum Arthropoda, okay. You learned it into the 10th class, okay. So this open circulatory system, the blood flows in the cavity, pouches, it will not restricted within the blood capillaries and the these tubes like the veins and the arteries, okay. In this one, these internal organs directly showered by this blood and they made their exchanges, clear. So this is the simplest type of circulatory system, while on the other hand we the human beings and the other vertebrates, they are having such a complex type of what you call that is a closed type of circulatory system, okay, the most sophisticated circulatory system with arteries, veins and the nerves to carry the blood throughout the body without coming direct contact with the organs, okay. So in this one, blood will never comes out in the open areas, that is the vessel, the pouches or the sinuses and this one thing, clear. So this is the categorization on the basis of the circulatory system. Now discuss on the symmetry, clear. So basically here we are having these different types of categorization. One that is the asymmetrical organism. Okay, the animals whose body is irregular, okay, and they don't have any excess of symmetry, then this is considered the asymmetrical. Second is the radial in nature. Radial means what? Who is somewhat discoid in nature or who is circular in nature, okay, where they are having more than one axis of the symmetry, then it is called as the radial symmetrical, clear. While the last one, that is the bilateral symmetrical, like we the human beings, okay, those who are having only a single axis of the symmetry from where we can divide them into two identical superimposing part of the body, clear. So this is the bilateral symmetry, okay. So remember, asymmetrical, radial symmetrical and bilateral symmetrical, clear. Now then we are going to discuss on the basis of the body organization, that is the diploblastic and triploblastic, okay. So actually at the time of the embryonic development, how many germ layers are there? That means the whole body is developed from 2 layer or 3 germinal layer. Actually you know that we are triploblastic, that means there are 3 germ layers: endoderm, mesoderm and ectoderm, okay. So those whose body is solid in nature, okay, we just kept them separate, okay. Then later we come to the diploblastic and triploblastic, okay. Those who are having only ectoderm and endoderm, mesoderm is lacking, that is called as diploblastic, okay. These diploblasts are just coelentrates and sponges and this one thing, clear. While this triploblastic is the highest category of the animals, those who are having this 3 germ layer: ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm, okay. So this is the highly developed organism, or they are having the most complex system of organization. Then on the basis of division among the animals based on the nature of the coelom, clear. So here again we are categorized them into the acoelomate, second is pseudocoelomate and third is the coelomate, clear. What is actually the coelom? Simply we can learn this term as a body cavity, clear. A fluid filled cavity between the alimentary canal and the body internal surface or the body internal wall, okay. So in between these two one, it filled with the fluid, okay. If this organism having this cavity, then they are called as coelomatic. But and those whose body is solid in nature, okay, those who are lacking this mesodermal lining or this cavity inside it, then they are called as acoelomate in nature, okay. And this platyhelminths is the good example, okay. Now remember, the next, those who are having this cavity, they are called as coelomate, and this coelomate is further divided into pseudocoelomate and the true coelomate, okay, or you can call it the coelomate one, clear. So what is the difference between the pseudo and true coelomate? If this cavity is properly lined with the peritoneal membrane inside, okay, this peritoneal membrane is actually derived from the mesodermal in nature, okay. So if inside this cavity it is properly lined with the which one thing, that is the peritoneum, that is called as coelomate. If it is partially lined with this peritoneum, that is called as pseudocoelomate in nature, okay. So remember this fact about the body cavity and their nature, okay. Now we the human beings are coelomate, clear. This chordates, hemichordates, arthropods, molluscan, okay, these all are this one thing, clear. Now here the next categorization, that is on the basis of the which one thing, notochord, okay, or mesodermally form the structure present in the animals, okay. So we categorize them into two category, one that is the chordate and second is the non-chordate, clear. The presence of notochord will consider as the chordate one, okay, and the absence of the notochord, that is called as non-chordates, clear. So this is the basic categorization between the chordates and non-chordates, clear. We are chordates, okay. So now this is the next basis of categorization. So here, before going to start it completely, we are having this line diagram to flow chart to actually categorize the animals, okay. So first one, what is the Animalia? Having eukaryotic, heterotrophic, multicellular, sensitive organism is there, that is called as Animalia. Then it is further divided into three categories, There is the mesozone, parazone and the eumetazone. Okay, this mesozone, that is actually this is a category of the animals which is tissueless in nature, that means having the single cell or the simplest body organization. Okay, then the parazones, they are cellular organization, they have clear mouth and but the anus is absent. Clear? And these parazones are having only one phylum, that is the phylum Porifera. Later we will discuss about this qualities and the characteristics of this Porifera. Basically it is radially symmetrical, their body is having the spines on it, okay, and this canal system is present. Clear? Then this eumetazone is further divided into two division, one that is the radiata and second is the bilateria. Simply radiata means what? Those who are having their radial symmetry, body symmetry as a radial one, okay, and they are having only one phylum, that is the Coelenterata. Clear? While this bilateria is having two subdivision, one that is the Protostomia and second is the Deuterostomia. Okay, what is the Protostomia? Proto means primitive and stomia means the aperture. Okay, so they are having a systematic spirally cleavage and the mouth is near to the blastopore. Okay, proto, that's why mouth is present in the apical most part of this one thing, the Protostomia. And Deuterostomia is written, those who are irregular, radial cleavage and anus is near the blastopore, that means they are having this U-shaped type of alimentary canal. Okay, now this Protomestomia is further divided into three categories: acoelomate, pseudocoelomate and eucoelomate. Clear? This acoelomate we already learned that it has only one phylum, that is the phylum Platyhelminths. You know the very good example, that is the Taenia solium or the flatworm. Clear? Pseudocoelomate, they are having one phylum, that is the Nematoda. Okay, you are quite aware about the roundworms. Okay, and the example is Ascaris. And this eucoelomates are basically having three phylum. One is the phylum Mollusca, simply they are the snails or the soft bodied animals. Clear? Second is the Annelida, they are worm like but their body is having annular structure. Okay, earthworm and leech is there. And the phylum Arthropoda, arthros mean the jointed, pods mean the feet. Those who are having these jointed feet, they are basically belong to phylum Arthropods. Okay, and now this Deuterostomia is further divided into this three part. One that is the phylum Echinodermata, dermaton, that echinus means spinous and derma means the skin. Those animals who bear spine structure on their skin is called as echinoderms. Okay, then hemichordata, that means they are having notochord but in half part of the body. Hemi means semi or half. Clear? Now so this is the helminths or the, sorry, not helminths, the hemichordates. Clear? Balanoglossus is the best example. And the phylum Chordata, we the human beings, those who are having a very well developed notochord, basically it will convert it into the vertebral column and the this one thing in the higher organism. Clear? Now so here in general we are going to discuss one by one all this phylum. Okay, so first of all, this animal kingdom include near about 35 phyla. How many phyla are there? 35 phylums are there, in which these 11s are considered as the major phylum. Clear? And these animals can be further categorized into two categories, one that is non-chordate and second is chordate. You know that what are the non-chordates? Those who are lacking notochord and those who are having chord. Okay, that is the chordata. Clear? Then this chordata is further divided into two categories, that is the invertebrates and the vertebrates. Vertebrates are having a specific backbone. Okay, while a vertebral column is there, while this non-chordates are invertebrates lacking backbone. Clear? So now here we are going to start the non-chordates with the first phylum, phylum Porifera. Clear? As it is very clear from the word itself. Clear? It is made of two words, one that is the porous and second is the fairy. Porous means the pore and fairy means to bear. That means the pore bearing animals on their outer surface is called as kept in which category? There is the phylum Porifera. Clear? So basically it is considered the most primitive group of the multicellular animals. Clear? Even though they are multicellular, but even in this one thing this cell is able to maintain their identity. Okay, they are not depending directly on each other, they are just performing clubbing or clumping of this one thing, clear? And in this one, the best example is the sponges. If we want to discuss their general feature, then first of all habitat. Okay, so they are mostly marine, some of them is freshwater also, and they are also found in the ponds and the lakes. The best example is the spongilla, clear? And the branch of biology who deals with the study of the porifers is called as parazoology, clear? And even they are multicellular, but the most simplest grade of this one thing, and even they are lacking the tissue system. Okay, so they present in the simplest group, they do not have tissue grade or the organization. When we talk about the shape and size, then shape is ranging from 1 centimeter to 1 meter in length, and they have vase like cylindrical shape. Okay, which is vase like cylindrical shape means what? From the inner side they are having a cavity, clear? Now when we talk about the symmetry, then they are showing the radial symmetry. Okay, that means they are having more than one axis of the symmetry, clear? Now we are moving forward for the body wall. When we talk about this body wall, then their derma is actually pinochondrium, or which we call them the gastral layer of conundrum is there. Okay, gastral layer means what? They are having the ability to secrete the digestive juices and able to digest them, clear? So this pinacoderm consists of flat cell called the pinacocytes, and the conoderms consist of spherical cells with a collar from which a flagellum emerges out, and hence they are also called the flagellated cells or the collar cells, clear? When we talk about the body organization, then they show the cellular level of organization, tissue is absent. Okay, and the cells are almost independent and cooperating with the each other very little. Germ cells, they are diploblastic in nature, that means mesoderm is totally lacking. Body cavity, they have internal body cavity which is not coelomate in nature. Okay, and this body cavity is called as spongocoel because it is present in the sponges. It is paragastric in nature, means able to digest, clear? It opens to the outside by a terminal opening that is called as the osculum. Okay, you saw that chimney lamp. Okay, so in this one only the upper hole is there, that is called the osculum, and the side one they are having the small aperture that is called as the ostias. Okay, so water enters through this ostia and goes out through this osculum, clear? Then the last one, there is the canal system. So it is the most important system of the sponges. They are in the canal system. A complete channel of the distribution of this canal is present in their body surface. Okay, where the water entered through the ostia. Okay, and this ostia is further divided into so many canals, and then later this canal will open with the internal ostia or the inner ostia wherein the spongocoel. Okay, now they perform the complete circulation of the water. It is helpful in digestion, it is helpful in distribution, it is helpful in the excretion, it is helpful even in the respiration also. Now this next one, there is the digestion. This digestion is basically intracellular. As I told you, this cavity is not there for the digestion. Whatever the food is there, it is by the phagocytic method is absorbed by the cell, and later on it is digested by it. So we call it the which type in nature? It is the intracellular in nature. Okay, now we are moving forward. The next one, there is circulation. Okay, remember they are having extra body circulatory fluid. That means this fluid is not produced or generated by the body itself. It comes from outside. Okay, from their medium, just like that. If they are in the aquatic, because of course they are in the aquatic medium, either from the marine or from the fresh water, so it comes from outside, it circulates inside and again goes outside, clear? The respiratory system, they exchange the gases through the body surface only, either from the outer surface or from the inner surface. No any kind of complicated system of exchange of gases is there, only on the simple concentration gradient they used to exchange. Okay, then the excretion, It also occurs through the diffusion. Okay, basically they release out nitrogenous waste material in the form of ammonia. Okay, then the sensory system, the sponges lack the sensory nerve cells. Okay, so they have a very poor response to the stimuli. Clear? And basically these are fixed only on one place. Clear? So now here when we talk about the reproduction, then they are having this asexual as well as sexual mode of reproduction both there. In the asexual mode of reproduction, they reproduces by budding or by the gemmule formation or by the internal bud formation. Clear? Now when we talk about the sexual reproduction, then there is the proper fertilization fusion of the ova and the spermatozoa there. Okay, when we talk about the fertilization development, the fertilization is internal because this reproductive unit produces inside the body. Clear? Then sperms of sponges are carried by the water current to the ova of the another sponge for in situ fertilization. Remember, two words are there, in situ and ex situ. In situ means inside and ex situ means outside the body or the location. Clear? And here they are having this parenchymatous in nature and this amphiblastula is formed. So this is all about the fertilization and development. Clear? And the very well known example is one thing, the sponge, or you call that the cycon, or simply we call it the spongilla. Okay, so remember this is the first phylum, that is the Porifera. Now we are moving toward the second phylum, which is called as the Nidana. Okay, or it is called the Coelenterata. Okay, so there are about 9,000. Okay, the spelling mistake is there, T is there. Okay, so there are about 9,000 species of cnidarians are there. Okay, this cnidaria is developed from the need and the, that means the natal and the sting cells. Okay, so they are having this cnidarian cells are there. Okay, which is penetrating in nature. Okay, they are stinging in nature. So is derived from this stinging cells or nidoplast present on the ectoderm or the of the tentacles. Clear? So that's why it is called as the coelenterate. Clear? Now when we talk about the general features, then again first we are taking the habitat. So these cnidarians are exclusively marine form in nature. Exclusively marine means what? They only and only present in the marine one. Very few or rarely they are present in the fresh water. Clear? Then next one thing, they are either sedentary. Sedentary means what? They present on the bottom of the sea as well as they are fixed on one place only. Clear? And if they are freshwater in nature, then hydra is the best example. They are either sedentary or free swimming in form. Clear? So next one, that is the body organization. So they have the tissue grade organization, somewhat improved than the porifers. Okay, and they are having a proper tissue system is there. And these coelentrates are diploblastic in nature. Again, mesoderm is absent. Okay, and the layer of the body wall contains the several types of the cells such as interstitial cells, sensory cells, and the nerve cells. Okay, now and here this epitheliomuscular cells and the stinging cells are there. That is called the nidoblast. Okay, these stinging cells are helps to which one thing, give an anesthesia. Okay, or to make the prey inactive in nature. Now then we come to the coelentric cavity. So this coelentron is present, it is simply called as the gastrovascular cavity. That means this cavity is used for both these two purposes. One, that is for the digestion and absorption, and second is for the vascular tissue, that means the transportation and circulation of the fluid. Clear? And which is blind on one end, that means they have the same opening of entrance and the exit. Clear? And the mouth is used for both the ingestion as well as the egestion, that means for intaking food and exhaling out it. Okay, now then we come to the tentacles. Clear? So these are having this tentacles which is sensory in nature, which perform the different function, the locomotion. Then the next one thing, they are having the stings or they are sensory in nature, and even the function is to paralyze and capture the prey, the attachment, the defense and the offense also. Okay, so these tentacles are very much functioning in nature in this category. Clear? Then the skeleton, horny or the calcareous exoskeleton as well as the endoskeleton is present in many cases, and the ciliated exoskeleton is of calcium carbonate are called corals. I think so in your earlier classes you heard about the coral reef. Okay, so this coral reef is actually formed because of the deposition of the budding. Okay, where you observe that because of it is calcareous in nature, it is exoskeleton. So even the internal organism died, but this external calcareous material remain there, and even it is responsible to form kilometer long and some quite wide wall is there, okay, which is named as coral reef, okay, and it developed a new variety of the habitat also. Clear? Now then the digestion. This digestion is present in the coelentron or the gastrovastular cavity. Okay, it is intra as well as extracellular in nature. Respiration excretion is performed by the diffusion directly because the external and the internal both body surfaces are in the direct contact with the circulatory fluid. Okay, whether it is external or internal. Clear? Sensation, they are quite sensory in nature. Okay, and this able to balance their body. Okay, they are also photosensitive by which they can respond the sunlight. Clear? Then the nervous system, they are having this nervous in the form of the net. No brain is there, only the ganglions is present, but there is no specific annulus rings and nothing is there. Okay, the new unipolar neurons are present in the body wall. Clear? Polymorphism, the name itself is giving the meaning. Poly means two or more than two, and morpho means the body form. Okay, that means their single organism exists either in two or more than two body form, that is called as the polymorphism. Okay, so basically there is the one that is the polyp and second is the medusa. Okay, this polyp is the cup shaped and the medulla is the umbrella shaped in nature. Okay, this polyps is sessile, cylindrical, and they are in the mouth tentacles upwards. Okay, like this hydra and adamsia is there, and medusa is actually the free swimming zooids in nature. Their mouth is present, the mouth is present on the lower side. Okay, this Aurelia or what you call that the jellyfish is the very good example of this one thing. Okay, and this way they are having actually a type of alternation of generation. Clear? And because of their bodies existing in more than two forms, that's what is called as the polymorphism. Okay, one body form is main and it is performing the asexual mode of reproduction, while the second is responsible to produce the gametes and it is called responsible for sexual reproduction, and first body division is observed. Okay, now when we come to discuss the reproduction, then the coelenterate reproduce both by asexual as well as sexual mode of reproduction. Okay, as I told you, this budding is performed by this polyp and they give birth to the medusa, and medusa will generate the sex organs and they perform this sexually. Polyps are there. Fertilization is external, it may be the internal, and the alternation of generation is there as we talked earlier. Clear? Now then the advances over the sponges. The basic difference, the most important difference is that this sponges was the category was made of simple organization of body, tissue system was absent, while in this sponges they have defined layers of this body structures and they have this layerings are there. Okay, so it is advanced form of this one thing. Now we are going to discuss the phylum Ctenophora. Okay, so this Ctenophora is actually Cteni means the comb and force means the bearing. So this comb or jellies or the sea walnut, the good example of this one thing, and it is actually, this term is given by the Georges Cuvier. Okay, and it is nearly having the 50 species. When we talk about the habitat and habits, then they are exclusively marine. They are found in solitary, pelagic or the free swimming in nature. Solitary means they are not found in the group, they are present in the single form. Clear? Body organization diploblastic. Okay, acoelomate with tissue grade of organization. It is soft, delicate, transparent, gelatinous. Okay, they have like the jellyfish in nature, and body segmentation is absent. Okay, when we talk about the body symmetry, then they are actually bilaterally symmetrical in nature, and they have this complex like arrangement which gives them the radially appearance, but they are not having the radial symmetry. Clear? Tentacles and the branching of the gastrovascular canals are there, which give the bilateral symmetry. When you talk about the digestive system, then both the extracellular as well as the intracellular digestion is there, okay, and skeletal, circulatory, respiratory and excretory systems are absent, okay. So it is much more advanced than the previous one. When we talk about the respiration excretion, then it is directly performed by the body surface. That means any specific type of excretory organs are absent. The nervous system, it consists of the nerve cells with an arboreal sense organ that is called the stetocyst, which is specifically for the balancing the body, okay. The reproduction and development, basically they are hermaphrodite, that means both the two reproductive organ present in the same one, okay, and the gonads are endodermal in nature. Fertilization is basically external in nature, and development is indirect. Indirect development means what? In their developmental stage, an intermediate phase, that is the larval phase is present. Clear? And this they also show this bioluminescence, that means they are having the body glowing structures, that means those who is responsible to glow their body. Now next we are going to discuss the phylum Platyhelminths, okay. Platy means flat, like the plates, and hel means like the worms, okay. So that's why we call them the flatworms, okay. It includes the flatworms, and the group include the first simplest triploblastic group of animals, okay. And Ginzburg coined the term that is the Platyhelminths. It includes nearly 12,000 species, okay, and they have leaf-like or the ribbon-like body structure. Clear? When we talk about the general structure in the habit and habitat, most of them are parasitic, likewise tapeworm, liver fluke, blood flukes, okay, and they are also even present the free form like the planarians, okay. They are hook suckers and parasitic in nature. Now the symmetry, basically they are bilateral symmetrical in nature, okay, and they are having the orientation at the both anterior and the posterior end. Clear? Syphilization is present. What is the meaning of syphilization? Syphilization, that means the feeling of concentration of the nervous system at the anteriormost part of the body, or even the body is start to categorize in the form of the head and the rest part of the body. Clear? So the brain or the annulus rings or the heavier grouping of the ganglions is present in the anteriormost part. Clear? This is the syphilization. The germs layer, they are triploblastic, that means ecto, meso and endoderm, all three present. Body cavity, they are acylomate in nature, okay. The space between the body and wall is filled with the characteristic connective tissue especially, and they are parenchymatous in nature. Remember, body organization, they are having the grade of organization, organ system is present. Clear? Digestive system, it is quite simplest, incomplete, okay, opening and closing, opening of the mouth as well as the anus is the same one, that means anus is absent. Respiration, it takes place through the body surface, direct exchange is observed. Excretory system is present in the form of the peculiar phlegm cells, okay, which is having the collection of the nitrogenous material, their filtration and their releasing out from this one thing. Even they are responsible to maintain the osmoregulation. What is the osmoregulation? The maintenance of the body fluid concentration in response of the salt present in the body or the minerals. Clear? The platyhelminth is the best example. Nervous system is present. The ladder-like structure is present. That means the two lateral nerves are present, which is internally connected with the transversely arranged bodies. Clear? Reproduction, if you observe, basically these are hermaphrodite in nature. Okay, so having both the male and female reproductive system. Fertilization is basically includes this direct one. Okay, larval stage is present, and some of them can be regenerated their body, likewise the planaria, and this one thing they have such a great degree of regeneration. Clear? Now then here we are going to discuss the phylum, fifth number, that is the Aschelminths. Clear? Aschelminths or Nematohelminths, or they are having also the nematoda. Nema means like the thread, and toads mean, helminths mean the worm. That means they are also considered the thread like animals. Clear? They are also considered the round worms too. The Ascaris, these are the best example. This is the internal parasite also. When you talk about the general feature, habitat, they are mostly free living and may occur in the water or within the soil. There are several parasitic species are present. Okay. Now, likewise this weep worms, eye worms, okay, guinea worms, symmetry, they are symmetrical in nature. Okay, and general layers, they are triploblastic in nature. Body wall is basically containing outer cuticle in nature, which is responsible to protect them from the direct contact with the outer surfaces. Body cavity, it is actually pseudostomats in nature. That means internally it is partially or not lined by the mesoderm in nature. Okay, then this one thing, digestive system, alimentary canal is complete and with the well developed muscular system. Pharynx is there, which is responsible for engulfing and transpassing in the latter part of the body. If you talk about the excretory system, then it consists the gland cells, okay, which is intracellular in nature. The nervous system, they contain the nerve rings around the pharynx, and the dorsal ventral longitudinal nerve cord is present, okay, and which is present throughout the length of the body. Clear? The reproduction, basically they reproduce by the sexual mode of reproduction, okay, and they even represented the sexual dimorphism. This means the male and female appears different in nature. Okay. Then if you talk about the fertilization, it is basically internal in nature. Okay, and they have both the two direct and indirect development. Clear? Now we can see this advancement over the flatworm. Okay, so this SKL means actually show somewhat more developed character, just like they are having the alimentary canal, they are having the sex organs. Okay, they have the two different sex based organism. Okay, so this is the advancement over the previous one. Clear? They are also disease causing in nature too. They are like that, this Ascaris lumbricoides, they are responsible they are also considered the round worms. Okay, they are endoparasites and they present the small intestine in the humans, and simply the disease called as ascariasis. Clear? I think so. You also remember about the Vaucheria bancrofti. Okay, it is called the filaria worm. Okay, so it is endoparasite. It is remain in the lymphatic vessels. Okay, and they present the human lymph nodes, and even they cause that the elephantiasis, what you call generally the hathi paw. Okay, in which that leg is become quite increase in diameter quite in nature. Okay, then the Encyclostoma duodenal, or what you call the hookworm, is also the endoparasite of the small intestine. Clear? And they causes the encyclostomia disease. Okay, the loa, this is the eye worm. Okay, which lives in the subdermal connective tissue of the man, and it causes the loesis disease characterized by the subcutaneous swelling. Okay, and mostly the swelling around the eyes is the characteristic feature of this one thing. Okay, now so this is all about this 5 phylum. So today we are going to stop the further discussion. In the next description we will talk about the next 6 phylums. Okay, in which the most important are the chordata. Okay, so till that, just take care of yourself, continue your reading. Okay, and all the best.